welcome to Createful Art. It's Ashley Krieger here, and today I would love to show you how to paint a watermelon slice. This simple tutorial is easy enough for beginners. Please help me make more fun tutorials like this one by hitting that subscribe button and the bell next to it, and let's begin. So what you're going to need is a surface to paint on. It can be any size. I'm using a panel and it's an 8 by 8 inch. You can use a canvas or watercolor paper if you would like. For my colors, I'm using cadmium red light. So I'm going to take this color and I'm going to put it right here. Now as you see here, there is a magenta in this set, and you can add some white to make a medium magenta. And I just have a medium magenta already mixed up, so I'm going to use this. Then I have my primary yellow. It can be cadmium yellow, or you can use yellow medium azo. I can use these two colors to mix a more yellow orange, or I can use my yellow orange right here. So this is my vivid red orange. Then I have my brilliant blue. This is also a primary blue, and I'm going to put it right here. So if I take these two colors, I will make my emerald green, or I can just grab my emerald green and add it to my palette. Then I can work on my brilliant yellow green, or I can take my yellow and add just a little bit of green to it, and it goes a long way. Then I need to add white, and then I would take some of this white and add it in here until I reach that lemon color, lemon lime. The next color is cobalt turquoise. If I needed to, I could mix taking some blue and a tiny bit of yellow and match that color. So now I'm just missing the purple if I want to use purple in my painting, and this is Quinacridone Blue Violet, so I could just use my Quinacridone Magenta and my blue to make this color. So I'm just going to start with the clean palette, and I'm going to add some black to it. I just wanted to share the mixes with you so that you would know how to create the colors that I may use in this tutorial. These colors are what we're using for the entire month, so there'll be some colors that I will pull from and others that I will not for this tutorial. So I'm going to grab my flat 1/2 inch brush here. It's a size 11 in the set that I'm using. Now grab your black paint with that brush and start spreading it all over your canvas. So to give it some more dimension, I'm going to add a little bit of this teal color in there, and I'm going to blend it. So you're not going to see a whole lot of it, but it's just going to add some depth to the painting. And then when I've covered my entire canvas, I let it dry. So with that same brush, but now it's clean, I'm going to get into my white here and add it to my brush, and I'm going to sketch out the watermelon. Now it's a triangle shape. So I'm going to start from that left side, creating a slanted straight line that goes to a point about to the middle top of the canvas, but I'm not reaching the very top. Now I'm creating like a U shape, which is the bite taken out of the watermelon. And notice how it's just squiggly lines, and then I continue this straight slanted line. So the line on the left and the right will reach down about the same point. So you have a triangle shape here. Now I'm going to create a pretty parallel line to create some dimension to this watermelon. So I'm going to start there at that left corner and just go down with my brush, using the square of my brush to just create a line, and then follow with the edge of my brush the parallel line all the way to the top. So now I'm going to make a U shape from that line I just created on the bottom there to the other line on the bottom. So from side to side. Notice that I don't have perfect lines. It's fine. This is just a sketch. And anything that you want to change, if you want to make your slice a little thicker, if you want to make your slice a little bit more round on the bottom, whatever you want to do, go ahead and do that now. I'm going to add some more white to that side. I'm not going to completely fill it in, but this is where the light is bouncing off of this watermelon slice, so that's why I'm adding that white. And just another layer of that white right along the edge so it really pops, because you're going to see some of that black behind the white and it's going to appear gray, and I just want it to be very light right there. So now I'm going to grab my toothbrush. This is an old toothbrush I use for painting, and I'm putting some water on it and then some of the white. And then I'm just going to distribute it through the brush before I start splashing, and then I make some splash marks. Now I don't have to worry about it being on the watermelon. It's just going to show through and it's going to look really cool. I don't have to keep all of those splatter marks on the outside, but I want it to appear fresh, and that's what I'm going for. So I'm going to add a little bit of the red color in there as well. You don't have to do this step if you don't like what it looks like. So next is painting the watermelon rind, and I'm going into my green there, my emerald green, and I'm going to paint right along the edge and then pull up. As I pull up along the edge, it runs out of paint, or I lift up so that there's less paint. So you want to do that all along the bottom of the watermelon. Now I'm going to dip into my lime green and some white. I want this to be a really light color, so I might grab some yellow too. So this part of the watermelon is supposed to be really, really light. It goes from the green edge to a very, very light color quickly. So there'll be some blending along the edge, and so I'll want to come back and lighten that color or wipe off the green that gets onto my brush, and then just let it blend on that edge into the rind. So see how I just kind of cut into it right there and then slanted my brush, and then I'm not creating like a super straight line and pulling up again along that rind. And so what I'm doing right now is creating the randomness that's in watermelons along the edge there. So you don't have to create a perfect solid line. Now I need to grab some more white on my brush, because it goes from that dark green to the light green to white and then turns into the red. So I really need to have it light up there at the top. So I'm cutting in again to that green randomly, so I'm not creating this solid white line. Notice how it's broken apart, and I'm pulling up in some areas and along the edges. Now I'm going to outline the watermelon seeds, so I'm using my round brush. I'll probably move to my detail brush though, and I'm creating the shape of the watermelon seed, which is pretty much an oval with one side being a little bit more pointy. And I'm going to be random where I select where I put my watermelon seeds, because when you open up a watermelon, it's very random where they are placed. So I'm trying not to put them all like in a row, and this is where you can be creative and place yours wherever you want. So this is a key thing to making your painting look a little bit more on the realistic side. I grab some white and I'm creating these veins, and I'm going to go down to my detail brush because these are a little bit too thick. I'll just leave these the way that they are, that's fine. So if you want to look at a watermelon right now to kind of get an idea of what these look like, I don't need these lines to be perfect at all. And I know it kind of looks funny right now to have them white, but they will blend in. And so I'm just making sure I have some dashes, some lines along the core there, along the rind, along like around those seeds, just in random areas. Let go, play, be loose. Just have fun making squiggly lines all over your watermelon. While the paint dries on your watermelon, let's work on this background. So notice the placement of this horizontal line from one side of the watermelon to the other. And so now at the bottom, you're going to have some shadow. The shadow is going to be the black paint we already placed down. And I started the shadow with a curved line right where that slice on the left side begins down there at the bottom, and then curve that line down at the bottom to the right side. So remember that the left side on the slice has all the light hitting it. So you're going to have a little bit of shadow right underneath that watermelon and then more shadow on the right side. Now we can just fill in the other area that's not shadowed with white or blue, or you can get creative and use any of the colors on the palette. So we're basically painting the table that this watermelon slice is sitting on. I'm going to add white more to the left side of my painting because that's where the light source is, and then add more of the blue on the right side. And notice how my brush strokes are really loose. I'm not covering all the black. I am being very loose because I want this painting to look like a painting. I don't want it to look like it's realistic. This is where I'm getting very impressionistic with my style. Now, if you want to spend more time on this table and make it a lot cleaner, then go ahead. So notice how I just added some of that blue or teal to the left side of the watermelon. So I'm bringing in some of that teal to the watermelon because I'm using it in my table, and that's going to create harmony in my painting. And I just did it along the edge in just a few areas. And I'm using the pure teal back there along that right side of the table to really make it a crisp line between the watermelon and the table and to give it some contrast. Now on that left side, I'm just straightening that line a little bit more. Make sure that those lines would meet up on the back. So you don't want one line on the left higher than the one on the right and vice versa. Also notice that near the shadow, I have left some of that black to show behind the paint, and I did that on purpose so that it would be a soft transition. So using that same flat brush, but it's now clean, I'm going to create a light red. I'm going to use my orange, my pink, and some of my red to achieve that color. This is what I'm going to add to that left side of my watermelon. So starting right above the white, I'm going over the white edge, but I'm not going to go over all of it. And I'm also going to take my edge and I'm going to make it less perfect. Because when you slice a watermelon, usually it's not a perfect edge. So this is where my realism comes to play with my impressionism. I'm also going to grab some of that pink and just put it purely on there without mixing. And that again is my play with color and just what I like to do. I love to play with color. So I'm adding a little bit more of the white color with a little mix of the orange. So there's a lighter version in there and doing some blending now. So the veins that you go over with this color will be covered, just so you know. So if you don't want that to happen, then you have to add water to it. So I'm not going to worry about it right now because the light shining on this edge, you won't see a lot of the veins. So some of those will be gone over. I'm going to add a little bit of white back into that edge so it looks like it's shiny all the way up but broken up. Now I'm going to grab my pure red and some water with it. So the water is going to make it transparent so that when I add it, you can see the veins. Now notice I'm adding it right above the white and you can see some of that black underneath. So that black is going to help create dimension in this watermelon. I'm going around my seeds and so you can see some of the veins behind it. So also when I go over some of the white with this red, it's going to show some of that color underneath. So I'm taking the edge of my brush and just putting a little bit into the white so that there's not a straight transition from the red to the white, because in a real watermelon, that's how it is. There's nothing perfect about a watermelon. There's no perfect lines or anything. And so what I'm doing is I'm copying what I see. And that's how I get it to look a little bit more on the realistic side. So now I'm going to go into my white a little bit with my red and add a little bit of a lighter pink going into this rind on this side. So I'm using the edge of my brush. I'm going past the white a little bit. And since I have white on my brush, it's not going to be as transparent, so I add water to my brush so it'll be more transparent because I want to see some of that color. underneath. And that's what acrylics are all about, is layering color. This is how you achieve depth, and this is how you achieve realism. So I'm just cleaning off my brush. Now I'm going to grab some more of that transparent red, and I'm going to start going over the black part. So I picked up a little bit of white, and that'll be less transparent, and that's okay. And I just keep going over the black part. So your lines, your veins and stuff should be dry. Go around those seeds. When I want my paint to be less transparent, I just add more paint to it and less water, and then I'm going to have more coverage. Notice that I have more coverage over that area. It's going to get rid of some of those veins, but it's also going to be more red like a watermelon is. And on that side, I really want this watermelon to be red and show how yummy this watermelon is. It's a nice red, fresh watermelon. So I'm using the edge of my brush to go along the edges. I'm going to take that red all the way into the rind and go around those seeds, so up to the white of the rind. Now notice that I'm leaving some of that black to show behind it, and that black creates the depth that I need so that it looks realistic. So because the flesh of the watermelon is semi-transparent, I need to create a semi-transparent paint to copy the texture of this watermelon. I'm taking a little bit of pink and going around this bite of this watermelon because it tasted really good. And so that's just going to make it stand out a little bit more on that edge and take some of that light color and pull in. So some of that pink is going to be inside of the watermelon flesh as well. So I'm going to add it in some areas. So if you have a slice of watermelon in front of you, lucky you. So you'll notice that there's some places that are more red in the flesh and some that are more pink. And so that's what I'm doing right now, is just creating that. So I'm going to layer as much as I need to. So if I add a lot of layers, it's going to appear more red and keep appearing more red, but that black is really what makes that flesh look like it's transparent, and that's why we started this watermelon with black. Now I'm just playing with colors, so you don't have to do this if you don't like that bright pink, but I love to play with color, and so if you want to keep it on their more realistic side, you don't need to follow this. I'm going to add a bit of magenta in just some areas, and I can always take it off if I don't like it. This step is always about your style and adding what you like, and also your personal preferences. So if you don't like something about your painting, then you get rid of it. And if you want to add something to your painting, if you feel like something needs to be added, then you add it. So I feel like I need to add some red right there and move that red around. I just want my watermelon to be a little bit more on the red side. And maybe you feel like your painting doesn't really need that. So you can just watch how I finish my painting, and then that can inspire you to change some things if you like, or you don't have to do anything else with your painting. You can be done. I personally feel like there's too many splatters right there next to the bite. So I'm going to take some away by dabbing. While that dries, I'm going to grab my black here and I'm going to go around my seeds a little bit. So I'm taking away some of that white around my seeds. And then I'm going to add some black to take away some of those splatters. So it's going to be shiny and appear like it's a different color when I'm adding this to my background. But it's actually going to dry black and blend right into my background. So I'm basically choosing which splatters I want to keep at this point. When you feel like yours is finished, go ahead and sign your work and then share it with me on Instagram at Createful Art. Or if you are a Createful Art member, you can share it in our community or on Facebook. Thank you so much for painting with me. I hope you had just as much fun as I did. If you're loving these tutorials, help me make more of them by subscribing to my channel, hitting that bell next to it so that you're notified when I make new videos. And also you can become a patron. When you sign up to become a patron, you get weekly art lessons and the reference photos that go along with these, and you help me make these tutorials possible on YouTube. So thank you so much for checking that out,
and signing up. You guys are welcome to watch more videos if you like, and I'll see you in my next video.